you know, but I met our president, and I like him very much. But I had met Bill Clinton. And it's in the book, you know, because Bill was a saxophone player, you know, and we talk all the time. When he got an award up in New York at the Eleanor and Franklin Roosevelt Museum up there in New York State, he was getting an award, and my agent asked me to come up and play something for Bill Clinton. And what happens when they said, well, when they got ready to present him with this award, they said, well, hold it a minute, President, we have a friend. So I came up playing There'll Never Be Another You. And what happens was, Hillary and Bill, I sat at the table and I had lunch afterwards, and she said that was one of their favorite songs. So, I mean, you know, and now, I'm not into politics. I'm aware, having been treated badly as a kid, I'm aware of what's happening in this world, but I'm not into it. I vote every time.
That's good.
Have anything you want to jump in with? I wanted to jump in. We're ostensibly here to talk about Jimmy's book, so I thought we should maybe talk about that a little bit. It's very interesting.
I thought that's what I was doing.
The book's about your life. You've been talking about your life, so I think we're in good shape. The book is very interestingly organized. You tell stories throughout the course of your life, and then when you bring up someone that you've interacted with, oftentimes there's a passage from that person kind of sharing their version of the story or talking about you. I was wondering how you hit upon that, and obviously that's why it took so long, or part of the reason why it took so long, just to get all those folks corralled and into the book. How did all that come about?
Well, I think it's due to the editing of the people at the Temple University Press, because I was one of my students is a co-author. He was trying to be a flute player when I was teaching in New York, and he didn't make it as a flute player, but he studied, and he's a professor at Hofstra University, and his name is Joseph McLaren. And Joe started to, wait, let me start at the beginning, because there was a student I had from Wisconsin named Colleen Forrester. And Colleen, when she was studying saxophone with me, she said, Mr. Heath, you know, you should write a book. So she started taking, I talked to her and she'd write it down. And then that started the ball rolling. And so then when Joe McLaren got hooked up in it, we noticed that I was always talking about different people, and he started getting interviews from those people. And I said, well, Art Farmer or Miles, I said, look, because I helped Miles write his book. The only thing about that is that when Miles said, hey, James, Quincy Troop gonna call you and he's gonna write a book about me, give him an interview. So I gave this guy 4 hours interview, because we were doing all the crazy stuff together back then, the great Miles Davis. And I said, okay. And when I get ready to write my book, yeah. I said, you gonna give me an interview? Yeah. And he died. So I do have him in there though, a little bit. But you know, the other people that I was able to get Dave Brubeck and people who I, you know, in the world of music, Benny Golson, who was in my band in Philadelphia, Coltrane was in my band. And, you know, I got interviews from all of those people. So we have, I Walked with Giants, that's the title. So if we had an experience together, then when I wrote about it in the book, Joe McLaren would make sure that he got an interview with the person that I was talking about, and they would correlate and add to the story about me being with, yes, we were together and so and so. So it's like a call and response, what jazz is about. it's a question and answer thing, like. So if I bring up a topic that when I was with Nat Toll's band in Omaha, Nebraska in 1945, and I came to Iowa for the first time, Council Bluffs, and out there, and weeds were growing out there. And the guys in the band were picking their own weeds and so, and I didn't even know a thing about it. I said, wait a minute. If it's in there, it's in the book. But the only thing about it is I got in trouble, and Miles didn't, and Coltrane didn't, you know, and Stan Getz didn't, and Zoot Sims didn't. They didn't go to prison.
I see a pattern here.
Yeah. So, you know, so that's why I have the interviews by all of the giants that I work with.
Now, were there stories in there where you told the story and then the interview was done and you maybe learned something about what had happened that you didn't previously know, or you were surprised that one of these guys interpreted something differently? Or
not usual. Billy Mitchell, the guy I was talking about, was with me when I was with Nat Toll's. He wrote in there, but he always called me the little guy because, let me tell you a funny story. When I went to Omaha to join this band, I couldn't read music as good as another person, alto saxophonist, who they brought out to audition. And Billy Mitchell was kind of straw boss or assistant to the band leader. He said, keep the little guy. And another reason, he stayed in a woman's house, and she had another little room in Omaha. And I was in the little room with the little single bed. So he said, keep the little guy. So eventually, at the end, when I became a arranging composer and got NEA Jazz or Masters Award and all that stuff, he always called me, hey, how's the little guy? Because I got some of the things that he never got. I mean, he was a great saxophone player. So there are a lot of things like that. But there are other things in the book where we were with the band traveling, and you know, good and bad. You know, it's a lot of funny stories in there. But you know, that's my family's personality. If you ever meet Heath, my father, my mother, my brothers, all of us had a great sense of humor. I think it's important to life, because otherwise I'd still be grieving over being treated differently for my skin color. Yeah, I got over that, man. Get over it, and enjoy while you're here.
Well, I did want to point out, I mean, the book is much about Jimmy's life and the music, but it's also a very telling tale about, you know, race relations back in those days.
You see my beautiful wife in there?
Yeah, very much so, yes. So, I mean, it's a very interesting story, you know, above and beyond just the music.
Yeah, I was just telling Lisa over there about my wife. My wife is Caucasian. We've been married now 53 years, and she's an educated woman. She's my best friend, my editor, my everything. So she went to the University of Pennsylvania, and she got a degree, and she was the most creative in her class artistically, and then she went to the Rhode Island School of Design, Architecture. Brilliant. And we get along great. She loves music and creative music. So that's another view. And you know, there's a picture of my family in there. There's also something I want you to read for me on the back of the that I'm really proud of.
There's a lot of great pictures in here, by the way.
Yes, Jimmy would like me to point out it was listed as the best book of the year from the Jazz Journalists Association in 2011. Yeah. And rightly so.
This guy, oh, you know what I'm talking about? Gary Giddens, is this?
Oh, yeah, right there.
He's this guy's.
Want me to read that?
He got all the words.
Yeah, that's good.
He
Read that, Gary.
Yeah, read that.
All right, so most folks probably know Gary Giddens, well-known jazz author and critic. He writes, Jimmy Heath is the hippest, coolest, deepest, wittiest. No wonder you wanted me to read this. Most in the pocket, on the money, bebop brain, backward absorbing, forward looking, constantly sharing saxophonist, flutist, educator, composer, arranger, bandleader, sideman, jam man, and now memoirist any of us will ever know.
I asked Gary, I said,